everybody, and welcome to today's episode of CCIR Student Research Spotlight. I'm Nell, and today it's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast Ratish, who is in his 12th grade in India. He is 16, and his research project with CCIR was looking at the role of the judicial reviews in India, which sounds absolutely fascinating. The professor that he works with was Dr. Leah Trueblood. So welcome, Ratish. It's great to have you.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Could you begin just by telling us a little bit about yourself, about your project, the title of your research, and just give us a little insight into who you are and what you're doing.
Okay. So my name is Ratish Shrivastava. I'm a 12th grade student from Delhi Public School, Bangalore, India. So my research paper, although like the title is something I left at the very end, to be honest. Currently the title I'm working with is the role and extent of judicial review in India. I might add a global perspective in the end, but I'm only looking at one global case, so it's not really a global perspective. So I might just not write it. Yeah, and my research paper seeks to address the evolving evolving nature of judicial review in India, particularly in the context of like the evolving political dynamics. And so basically, I argue that while the judiciary should have a significant role, and I am a big proponent for judicial review, um, there is a delicate balance required to see that the judiciary doesn't overreach. And I do this by just comparing certain cases. So that's what my project is on. This is the thing that I'm pursuing. And I forgot what was your question?
No, that's great. That's great. That's amazing. I just wanted you to kind of let everybody know what it is you're actually researching. So how did you get interested in this? What was it that led you to decide this would be a good research project?
Well, I mean, the course itself was really interesting, and I had a very hard time actually figuring out a topic. So so from week 6, so this was a 13-week course, and
Okay.
right on from week 6, I would have another research project every week, and then by the end of the week, I was realized, yeah, I can't do this because then I would start reading the research papers, and then I would go half like 20 pages in, then I would realize I don't really know what they're talking about because I would just lose myself because they were so intense. I mean,
Yeah.
and I've been editor, I've like done debates and stuff, but I've never read like academic papers before. So it was very hard for me to actually like stick and like read 40 pages. But the professors were very helpful in this and they did give me certain tips. Also, like the other students. So one of the other students, Abraham, I actually spoke with him quite a bit because both of us just couldn't figure out what we wanted to do. So at week 11, I just said, okay, I'm gonna like whatever's it's not the easiest, but whatever's the issue that I can speak the most about without reading too much other things. I just go with that and hope I can find enough other material, which I did. So it turned out okay in the end, but I was really scared at like week 10, week 11. But it's
Yeah,
good to know that other students were also struggling, so it's okay.
of course. Oh my gosh. I mean, I had that experience when I started at Cambridge University of having never read sort of academic papers before and then suddenly being like, oh my gosh, these are so dense and there's so many new big words I don't know. It's like, and you kind
Yeah.
of convince yourself that you don't understand what's going on. But so when you started out with CCIR, did you have a kind of goal in mind? Did you have something that you were interested in that you thought you might want to look at and then it kind of changed as you went along? Or did you kind of just start out thinking, let's see what happens?
Yeah, I did kind of just start out thinking, let's see what happens. Because I was really interested in like a variety of topics. I'd never really considered like researching anything, but I mean, I looked at like the prospectus. I don't know what it's called, but I was really interested in the topics, and I thought, I'll be able to figure out what I want to do in like 1 or 2 weeks. But then when I actually started, I was like, every week would have a new lecture, and every lecture I would think to myself, oh, I can do a research paper on this. This is so interesting. And then like when you read it, and then I found out it was like acquiescence, and then I had to look it up on like the dictionaries. And I was like, oh, it's not so interesting anymore. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but yeah, I was interested in like constitutional law as a whole, I guess,
Okay.
from like my previous readings.
Yeah. Fantastic. And did you feel like you were supported in the exploration of figuring out what you wanted to do? Like, I know you said you were a bit scared at one point, a bit nervous, and you were relieved that other students was kind of having the same struggles, but did you feel like CCIR supported you in this process?
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. So I did have a lot of office hours with my teaching assistant, Mr. Nishant, and we kind of I just told him that I wasn't able to read the paper, so he gave me a lot of tips of how to like read such academically dense papers. So both himself and Dr. Leah, they were a lot of help. They suggested papers to me to read and books to me to read, and yeah, I mean they just help me every step of the way. Sorry, and
Yeah.
also even the other students. I mean, I know I mentioned Abraham before, but yeah, all of us we kind of spoke to each other even after classes because
Mm.
two or three of us we just couldn't find out our topics. So yeah, it was like there were people supporting me. It was just kind of my it was just an error on my end. So I was being supported. Yeah, it was just me who couldn't figure out what to do.
Yeah. No, that's really good to know actually, and interesting because so often when I talk to CCIR, people it's like, I know I want to go and do this. They have their kind of like idea really set in stone. And I'm like, wow, amazing that you know exactly what you want to study and everything. But it's great to hear from your perspective and your experience of like actually just kind of like figuring it all out as you go along is really kind of natural, and I really like that. And I think it shows also a lot of resilience, and it shows in you that you are interested in lots of different things, which is fantastic, and you can be versatile. So I think that's excellent. Um, and yeah, so you said that like you chatted to different students after class and everything. Um, how did you find the kind of social aspect of CCIR? How do you feel like now that you've got your research project, you've got your title and everything, do you feel like you built up momentum and then you were able to kind of like get stuck in and enjoy it? And yeah, how did you find it kind of personally and socially as well?
I mean, socially, it was very interesting because I mean, we were like five students, and all four of them kind of just knew more than me. So it was just every time I would speak to them, I would realize that I'm speaking to people who are, I mean, obviously the professors and all, they're just a different level altogether. But I would realize, these kids are very smart and very intelligent. And I would speak to them and realize that, they have it figured out. And then I would always, I mean, obviously, when you speak to people that are smarter than you learn a lot. I mean, my first week or the second week, I was a bit overwhelmed because I
Mm,
realized. So our first week was on Griffith and the political constitution, and I'd never read Griffith before, but like three students had already like kind of read this whole like his paper. So I was a bit like on the back foot, like oh my god, everyone knows it. But then the social they were very helpful. There were things that some of us knew and the others didn't. And the course was designed in such a way that it took cases of various jurisdictions and concepts by various people of varying ideologies. So it wasn't like one student knew everything and
yeah.
like he was just, so it was like a very interesting experience. And obviously, staying back and speaking to those students, it helped me. And obviously, the professors were all very, very supportive every step of the way. So I remember if we would read cases, because a lot of us weren't familiar with like the US way of
Sure.
like judicial proceedings,
Mm.
because like I mean, I'm always used to like the Indian Supreme Court, so it was very difficult for me to like read those big Roe v. Wade. We were doing that case, so we actually read it together, and uh, yeah, this was explained to us. So that was really nice, really supportive. Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad. That's really good to hear. Do you feel like you've built confidence then throughout your time with CCIR? Do you feel
Yeah.
like you've grown and I don't know, feel like you could tackle an academic paper if you was to go to university or something?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna overestimate my abilities, but
But don't
I would.
underestimate them either. That's very important.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm in a much better place than I was like 3 months ago. So now I
Mhm.
actually know how to like approach papers, like academic papers. So yeah, it has given me like a confidence booster. I mean, even now I'm not finished with my research paper. I've like, but I know what to do, but I'm not finished with it. But the fact that I've written like 3,000-ish words, it just gives me a little bit more of confidence to actually speak about these issues, like whenever I'm speaking to someone. So yeah, confidence-wise, it's definitely given me a boost, I would say.
Good. I'm glad. I'm really pleased to hear that. And do you think that law is something you would like to pursue?
Well, yes, currently. I mean, I'm a very indecisive person, but yeah,
Me
I
too.
mean, well, I think law is something that I would like to pursue in like as a degree, like in the near future, definitely. I mean, I don't know what happened after I get my degree, but anything after like 3 years is too
Yeah,
far away to think
that's fine.
about.
It's fine. And
That's too far.
how was it working with Dr. Trueblood in particular? Did you manage to form a good relationship? Were they helpful? Was she supportive?
Oh, she was very supportive, and I mean, I mean, obviously, I mean, I guess you should expect this, but she was like really, really intelligent. Because one of the papers that we were studying was actually written by her, so it
Mm,
was so
yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
always a
had
bit
a doubt.
intimidating when that happens.
Yeah, so I was very excited. I had a couple of doubts, and then I realized I could just ask the author. Yeah, so it was like, oh, I can ask the author in the next meeting. But she was very supportive throughout the entire process. I mean, I asked a lot of questions, and she answered every single one of them. And in most of the classes, what would go, she would give like an introduction to the topic, and would let us all kind of speak our points because we've already like read some bits of people what we were expected to read, and then she would give her thoughts on that as well. She was very supportive, very intelligent, uh, and yeah, she did give a lot of like personal inputs as well. So like I was having a lot of problems about like really how to read research papers, what books, what research papers I should read, because I have really hard time just sitting and reading like 40, 50 pages like on the computer screen. So
Mm.
she gave us a lot of advice about that. She suggested me a lot of reading material as well. And the same with Mr. Nishant. I had many office hours with Mr. Nishant, and he actually worked as like a judicial clerk in India also. So everything I asked him, he kind of had practical experience as well. So he gave me a lot of advice on how to like not go the rabbit hole down the rabbit hole in some of these like political science questions because they really don't have an answer. And yeah, so just a lot of advice from both of them. It was really, really just a supportive environment to be. So yeah.
That's fantastic because it is. Um, I'm just drawing on my experience of starting at Cambridge University. It's like it is so intimidating being around such amazing brains. I mean, it's exciting and thrilling and incredible, but it's humbling as well. And you have to you have to be resilient. So I no, I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed. Um, why did you like? How did you find CCIR? How did you decide that it was something you were going to apply for? Um, yeah, tell me a bit about your kind of experience of figuring it all out and getting to where you are now.
So see, I found about CCIR when I was scrolling through Instagram. So it got recommended to me. Like it was, I think it was one of the student spotlights. I don't know. It was one of the students had a research paper published by some university. I don't remember, but I saw that and I was like, wow, students are doing so much. And I mean, I've like obviously I try to like do debates and stuff, and then I thought, it'd be fun if I do this and maybe I'll get selected. So I just applied and then I got selected. So it was yeah, I just found out about it on Instagram and then I just kind of applied. I mean I scrolled through the entire Instagram page, then I went onto their website and I thought, it'd be a great experience to actually learn from like smart people, such intelligent people before going to university. So
Mm,
yeah, that's what I did. Yeah,
amazing.
just
Oh,
applied.
that's great that an Instagram scroll can lead to something positive.
Yeah.
Can lead to something
Yeah.
positive. So I don't know if you would like to, if you can kind of expand on like your favorite parts of CCIR on a really good memory that you have, or what's been the highlight, or something that's really impacted you that you're going to take away from this experience?
The best memory would probably be kind of an. Oh, I mean, every week we would all like kind of read like the reading list that was given to us for that week. Then we would come, like all three, four of us, whoever were present that day, and we would all kind of just speak whatever we thought about the topic, and then we would all just kind of question each other every week. Plus, obviously, Dr. Shublet and Nishant would both ask us questions. So in that way, it was just a new round of debate every single week. So that was like in itself very interesting. But the best part of it probably was just like figuring out the topic. So after I did figure out the topic and I spoke to like the other students and I spoke to Nishant, I realized that, it can get really fun, even though these papers are like really hard to read. So when you start writing it down, I just kind of felt like, oh, I'm like I can now do this. So when I
Yeah.
actually started understanding the papers after like week 3 or week 4, because initially I was just, oh, how I'm gonna do this because the papers are so dense. But after I started like actually reading the papers and setting aside time per week to actually like make notes and stuff, and then I would, uh, and we had to do like 300 to 400 word essays every week about like a topic, and writing those essays, and then I would get feedback on those essays by Mr. Nishan. So it was just like a very, like it's like a reward mechanism, I guess. So that was very
Sure.
interesting. That was probably the best part of the research paper, just submitting like your essays and then just waiting for what the teaching assistant, what Mr. Nishant is going to say about it. And, if he thinks it's like good this time or not. So this one week he really liked what I wrote. It was about Cherry versus Miller in the UK, and I was really scared because I didn't know anything about the UK Supreme Court. But then I wrote it down, and then obviously I it wasn't the best, but he did give me like some compliments. That felt really nice. So that was probably the best
I'm
part.
glad. I'm sure you deserved it. But that's the thing, it is getting that feedback and being in dialogue with these professors and the experts in this subject is so rewarding. And that's the whole part of it, isn't it? It's being in conversation with people and sharing ideas and um yeah, no, that's wonderful. So before we finish, any advice you would have to people starting out with CCIR, or also people who are in CCIR and in your position of sort of like, oh my gosh, so many interesting things, don't know what I want to focus on. What would be your advice?
So for people that are like thinking of applying to CCIR, I would just advise just like, apply because, what's the worst that can happen? Even
Yeah,
if you get in, that's like a very big plus. If you don't, then I mean, you're just like
haven't
there where
lost
you were.
anything.
You
Yeah.
yeah, so uh but for people that are like overwhelmed or something, I think it's pretty normal. Because like if you haven't like done these kind of courses before, so in my course, like 2 or 3 students had done previous summer courses at universities, so they knew what they were getting themselves into. But if you haven't sort of done that and you feel overwhelmed, I think that's very normal. Anyone would feel overwhelmed, even if you like start a new sport, or like the first few weeks are really overwhelming when you don't know the terminologies and the stuff. But so it's just power through, just to calm yourself down because like I got really nervous like the very first meeting, but then I realized that it's fine. If you just like nobody really cares that much. People know that you're very new to this, so it's just kind of just do the reading that's given to you, and then all the assignments that are given to you, and by the end you'll have like a decent idea of what you want to do, and then just it's all about like speaking to other people and seeing like the way you're thinking is acceptable or not. So just power through, I guess.
Just power through. That is good
Keep doing it.
advice for life. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. It's really, I really appreciate how honest you've been about your experience. And I think it's very sort of grounding for people to listen to and realize that actually it can be tough, but as you say, power through and the rewards will be there at the end. So yeah, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I wish you all the best with completing your project and your last year of school, whatever you pursue in the future. So yeah.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.